After several weeks shadowing the Black Ark Tower of Blessed Dread through the Sea of Serpents, Sea Lord Aislinn signalled his fleet to attack. Alas for the Admiral, the trap was not all he thought. Although Aislinn's mages could conceal the High Elf vessels from sight, they could not mask the telltale ripples that they caused in the wind and waves. To Lokhir Fellheart, they could scarcely have been more obvious if their ships had been aflame. So it was that as Aislinn's ships moved in for the kill, the great portal at the rear of the Black Ark burst into life. Sorcerous black fog flooded from its depths and slicked across the ocean. And with that came a dozen Doom Reavers, iron-sided war towers, bound to the scaled backs of gigantic Helldrakes. Cries of warning rang out across the approaching hawk ship, and the swift vessels scattered, but Fellheart had timed his counterattack perfectly. 3 hindmost hawk ships were smashed apart by hails of bolt-thrower fire, and the hull of a 4th was snapped like matchwood by a Helldrake's tail. With a thin smile, Fellheart ordered the Tower of Blessed Dread to come about and engage Aislinn's flagship, the mighty dragon ship Calandirian. Aislinn should perhaps have broken off his attack at that point, but pride goaded him on. Ordering the Eagle ship, Aisha's Mercy, to battle the Doom Reavers, he set the Calandirian upon a broad arc intended to cross the Black Ark's bows and then loop abaft as the dragon ship cut keenly through the water. Aislinn watched as the enchanted bolts of his eagle claws rained down against towers and battlements, unseating stones and shattering fortifications. On the Tower of Blessed Dread, Fellheart laughed. Aislinn was a daring foe to bring his vessel in so close, but it would not save him. Fortune did not always favour the brave. On the highest point of the Black Ark's central tower, a coven of Marathi's most skilled sorceresses awaited Fellheart's command. For days they had planned this moment, offering countless slaves in blood sacrifice to ensure Hecate's favour. At Fellheart's signal, they reached into the roiling winds of magic, conjured a bladed cloud of crystallized hate, and sent it against the Calandirian. Across the water, the dragon ship's mages saw the sorceress attack almost as soon as it was launched, and wove their counterspells frantically, but not quickly enough. Whilst the Doom Reavers duelled with the fleet of Aislinn, they had seeded assassins amongst the flotsam. Many had perished in the chill of the seas, but others had survived long enough to latch onto the Calandirian's hull as it surged past. Using scaling claws, they climbed the ship's alabaster flanks, vaulted its gunwales, and fell about the mages with wicked determination. Too late, Aislinn saw the murder upon his decks. Even as he led warriors of the White Lions and the Lothan Sea Guard against the assassins, the last mage's words of power had been stilled by the slash of a silent dagger. With a burst of light, the counterspell collapsed. Moments later, the cloud of blades engulfed the dragon ship, and the decks ran red. Hundreds died as dark magic washed over the ship. Many assassins died too, swept into oblivion's embrace, with mad laughter upon their lips. Aislinn, though cut and bloodied, had found shelter in the lee of the bridge, and he swore that the battle was not yet done. He had many more soldiers safe on the lower decks, and the Calandirian was still a formidable vessel of war, unchanged fundamentally. Then he looked up and saw that the dragon ship's sails were all but gone, shredded apart by the dark magic that had engulfed his ship. With a hollow heart, he turned his gaze to the Tower of Blessed Dread. The Black Ark's weapons now lay silent, but its decks were thick with scale-cloaked warriors. As the rough waves dragged the Calandirian to a halt directly before the tower's dragon-skulled prow, scores of grapnels arced from the Black Ark's decks and drew the two ships into a lethal embrace. Lokhir Fellheart was the first to reach the Calandirian's deck, his red blades flashing to disembowel and decapitate before his boots had even found purchase on the rolling decks. In his wake came scores of his dread blades, the most savage and merciless of his corsairs. With their ruthless captain at their head, the Dreadblades sighed through the mustering ranks of Lothern's Sea Guard, their wicked swords flashing as they drove the High Elves back. Here and there, the Sea Guard held firm, their nerves steadied by one of the dragon ship's officers, but one by one, these anchors of resistance were silenced. The surviving assassins now passed through the raging battle like shadows, effortlessly evading the attacks directed their way, and striking out with bloody precision in return, with Seaguard to his port side, and his bodyguard of white lions to starboard. Sea Lord Aislinn charged into the corsairs, never once slowing his pace or losing his footing to the heaving deck. Aiming to sever the Dark Elves' foothold, he fought his way through to where the grapnels bit into the Calandirian's flank. An assassin sprang from a hiding place below the gunwale, only to be cut in two by a mighty two-handed strike from Aislinn's longsword. The Admiral's Seaguard were dying now, cut down by curved blades or pierced by repeater crossbow bolts. Protected by thicker armor and their heavy cloaks, the White Lions fared better, but they were too few to make a lasting difference. Little by little, Aislinn's warriors were whittled away, and soon the Sea Lord stood alone. The corsairs pressed in, undaunted by Aislinn's quick blade or the pile of dead at his feet, but shrank back instantly at the Fellheart's barked command. The tower's black-haired captain sought the Admiral's life, and would permit no other to take it. So began a duel of legends. For nearly an hour, Aislinn and Fellheart fought, insensate to the screams of the dying. The Calandirian caught ablaze, yet neither gave the fires heed. Scarce a league distant, Aisha's Mercy and her entire crew were dragged into the icy depths by a tentacled beast, yet this fate did not merit even a glance. Blow and counterblow, the defeat of the upstart Sea Lord had become all that mattered to Fellheart. Both let fly with every feint at their command, but neither could claim victory. Aislinn struck one of the red blades from Fellheart's grasp. The corsair merely laughed as the sword's magic returned it to his outstretched hand, and he cut back with a double sweep that nearly sent Aislinn tumbling to the river below. Regaining his footing, the Sea Lord hacked down with all his might, cleaving Fellheart's kraken helm and slicing deep into the Dark Elf's skull. The wound healed in moments, leaving not even a scar behind, and the metal of the kraken helm rippled back together. Aislinn cut down again, this time his blades shattered into 3 pieces, but the Admiral at least had the satisfaction of seeing his opponent knocked to the ground. Taking up the axe of a fallen White Lion, Aislinn advanced, but before the Sea Lord could take advantage, Fellheart hamstrung a corsair and cast the wretch into Aislinn's path. Now it was the Sea Lord's turn to be knocked off balance, and he was given no chance to recover. With his red blades whirling, Fellheart knocked Aislinn's axe aside and plunged both swords to their hilts in the Sea Lord's chest. Fellheart laughed with joy as the axe fell from Aislinn's nervous fingers. Bracing one foot against the Sea Lord's ribs, the corsair heaved the Admiral's body off his blades and over the gunwale. An hour later, the Tower of Blessed Dread was underway once more, its holds full of slaves, destined for Nagaroth. Of the High Elf fleet, only scattered wreckage remained. Of Aislinn, there was no trace.